In the quiet aftermath of shattered trust, where shadows of old wounds linger unspoken, Maya Reed navigates a world blurred by self-imposed silence. A flicker of forgotten pain draws her back to the edges of memory, urging her toward the fragile first steps of unraveling the numbness that has become her armor. The loft's dim glow spills from a single lamp. The loft's dim glow spills from a single lamp, casting long shadows across the cluttered space. Maya hunches on the worn couch, her fingers hovering over the remote, heart thudding dully in her chest. The screen flickers to life. Old footage of Darnell, his smile sharp as a blade, pulling her into frame during one of those endless nights. "See, we're unbreakable." His voice crackles, and she freezes, the numbness settling like fog in her veins, blanketing the ache she refuses to name. Her phone buzzes on the coffee table, Noor's name flashing, insistent. Maya stares at it, breath shallow, the vibration rattling through her like a distant warning. She could answer, let the words spill, let Noor pull her from this loop. But no, her hand shoots out, silencing the call with a swipe, the screen going dark as quickly as it lit. Silence rushes back, thick and protective, wrapping around her like an old coat. It's safer here, unspoken, where the hurt can't claw its way out. She leans closer to the screen, Darnell's laugh echoing, mocking the fragments of herself she buried. In the corner of the room, the broken mirror leans against the wall, shards pieced haphazardly together. After that night, she smashed it, unable to face the fractured reflection staring back. Now, it catches her profile in jagged slivers, eyes hollow, mouth a tight line. Each piece whispers the lie she's clinging to. That silence is her armor, that admitting the cracks would shatter her completely. The phone buzzes again. Noor, persistent. Maya's pulse quickens, the numbness cracking at the edges, giving way to a tense coil in her gut. What if she answers? What if the words escape, exposing the raw edges? She rejects the call once more, thumb pressing hard, but the anxiety builds, a low hum under her skin, urging her toward something she can't yet reach. The footage loops, Darnell's face looming larger, and she wonders, in the quiet that follows, if this hush truly shields her, or just keeps the storm raging inside. A few days later, the late afternoon light filtered through Maya's apartment blinds, casting slatted shadows across the cluttered coffee table. She sat curled on the couch, knees drawn up, staring at her phone's blank screen. Numbness wrapped her like a familiar shroud. Another day, blurring into the last, the weight of unspoken words, pressing down without shape or sound. A knock shattered the quiet. Maya hesitated, then rose, her bare feet padding softly on the worn rug. Through the peephole, Noor stood there, holding a small flyer, her dark curls framing a face etched with quiet determination. "Maya, it's me," Noor called, voice muffled but warm. The door creaked open. "Hey." Maya's greeting was flat, her eyes darting away as she stepped aside. Noor entered, the scent of chamomile tea trailing her like an invitation. Noor set her bag down and unfolded the flyer, a simple circle of drawn hands linked around a flame. "Healing Circle, tomorrow night at the community center. It's not some big therapy thing, just people who've been through stuff, sharing stories, safely." Maya's gaze flicked to the flyer, then back to the floor. She crossed her arms, a barrier rebuilt in seconds. "I don't need that. I'm fine." Noor's eyes softened, but she didn't back down. She moved closer, perching on the arm of the couch. "Fine like this, hiding in here, letting it all fester. Maya, sharing isn't weakness. It's how we breathe again. I know. I've been there. The silence, it doesn't protect you. It just keeps the hurt alive. The words landed like pebbles in still water, rippling through Maya's numbness. She turned toward the hallway mirror, the one cracked from that night months ago. Darnell's fist through the glass after one of his rages. Shards still caught the light, fracturing her reflection into jagged pieces. Eyes hollow, lips pressed thin. She touched the frame, fingers tracing a fissure, the echo of her broken self staring back. "I'm not weak," Maya whispered, more to the mirror than to Noor. Her voice trembled, the first crack in the armor. Pain flickered, raw, unnamed, but beneath it, a faint stir, like a held breath releasing. Noor stepped beside her, not touching, just present. No one saying you are, but holding it alone. That's the real cage. Come with me. Let someone witness it. You might find you're stronger for it. Maya's hand dropped, heart quickening. The numbness ebbed, giving way to a subtle tremor. Not fear alone, but a whisper of hope, fragile as the mirror's edge. Could she trust this? Lean into another without shattering further? The question hung between them, unanswered, as Noor waited. The following week, encouraged by Noor's persistence, Maya attended her first therapy session. The therapy room hummed with quiet restraint, soft light filtering through half-drawn blinds onto a worn leather couch. Maya sank into it, her body a coiled spring wrapped in numbness. She avoided the doctor's gaze, fingers tracing invisible patterns on her knee, anything to keep the fragments of memory at bay. Dr. Elias Hart sat across from her, not in a chair that loomed, but on an equal stool, his posture open, inviting breath over barrier. "You're here," he said simply, voice steady like a hand extended in fog. "That's the first step. No rush to unpack everything today." Maya nodded, but her chest tightened. Maya watched his hand on the page, steady, and felt the numbness recede, attention blooming like light through cracks. For the first time, the past's roar dulled, not gone, but less suffocating under this gaze. She breathed deeper, the journal's open spine mirroring her own tentative unfurling. Could this knowledge carve room for her voice, turn fear into footing? The question hung, unspoken, as the session's quiet pulse urged her onward. That evening, inspired by the session, Maya turned to her journal at home. Maya's hands trembled in the dim glow of her apartment lamp. The broken mirror clutched like a talisman of her fractured reflection. Shards glinted softly, each edge a jagged reminder of the face she'd hidden from for months. Numb, unseeing, a shell pieced together from silence. She sat cross-legged on the worn rug, the tiny journal open in her lap, its pages whispering promises of release she wasn't sure she could claim. Her pen hovered, the tip kissing the paper without committing. "I was weak," she murmured to the empty room, the words tasting like ash on her tongue. The lie coiled inside her, familiar and fierce, showing strength means never admitting pain. It had kept her safe, or so she'd told herself, replaying Darnell's voice in her mind, his confessions archived in her thoughts, pulling her back into the claustrophobic dark. Why speak now? Vulnerability would only expose the scars, prove she was breakable. But the numbness cracked, a faint thaw seeping in. She glanced at the mirror again, tilting it to catch her eyes, wide, shadowed, but alive with a flicker of doubt. The fragments didn't align perfectly. They never had. What if piecing them meant more than hiding? Her breath hitched, shallow at first, then deeper, as if breathing out the weight. The inner voice hissed, "You shouldn't. Stay silent. That's your power. Noor's unanswered calls echoed in her memory. Doctor, Hart's gentle prompts from their first session, lingering like an open door. Maya pressed the pen down. I was weak to let it go on, she wrote, the letters wobbly but deliberate. The words blurred through unshed tears, but she didn't stop. Doubt bloomed. Maybe weakness wasn't the fracture, but the refusal to name it. The shadow of Darnell receded, just a step, as her hand moved again. And now, I'm ready to share. She paused, mirror in one hand, journal in the other, the air thick with unspoken possibility. Could she leave these shards behind and speak a self reborn through them? The question hung, fragile as the light catching the edges, urging her onward. A few days after that private moment, Maya met Noor at the cafe to continue their conversation. The cafe's corner booth felt like a fragile island, steam rising from their untouched mugs like hesitant breaths. Maya sat hunched, fingers tracing the rim of her cup, her eyes darting to the window where rain blurred the city lights. Noor leaned forward, her voice a steady anchor in the dim glow. I remember the night I finally said it aloud, Noor began, her gaze locking onto Maya's. Drove to a friend's place at 2 a.m., sobbing, spilling every bruise, every lie I'd swallowed. Not to fix it, just to name it. Thought it'd shatter me, make me small again, like he wanted. Maya's breath hitched, her knuckles whitening. The words clawed at her own silence. Darnell's echoes whispering that vulnerability was a trap, a door for more pain. She wanted to pull back, to mutter something about time healing on its own. But Noor's eyes held her, warm and unyielding. But naming it, that was the first step out, Noor continued, reaching across the table. Her hand hovered, not touching, just offering. It didn't break me. It lit something inside, like those candles in the healing circle we do. Flicker at first, surrounded by shadows, but shared with others, they burn brighter, warmer. Hold space for you. Maya's chest tightened, fear coiling like smoke. What if sharing invited the hurt back? But Noor's story seeped in, softening the edges. She imagined her own words on paper, raw and unedited, not a weapon against her, but a release. A tentative warmth bloomed. Noor's presence, a bridge she hadn't crossed yet. Try it, Noor urged gently. Just jot it down. See what it feels like to let it breathe. Maya nodded faintly, the fear lingering, but pierced by that emerging glow. Could this be strength, not surrender? The question hung between them, unanswered, as the rain eased outside. Emboldened, Maya attended the healing circle the next evening. The circle of candles flickered in the dim room, their flames casting wavering shadows on the faces gathered around. Maya sat cross-legged on the worn rug, her knees drawn close, arms wrapped tight like a shield. The air felt chilled, heavy with the weight of unspoken stories, and her skin prickled as if the warmth of the wicks couldn't reach her. Noor sat to her left, eyes soft and steady, a quiet anchor in the intimacy of the healing circle. One by one, voices rose, raw confessions spilling like ink on paper. A woman spoke of betrayal's sting, her words trembling but unbroken. Another man breathed out years of hidden shame, his hands unclenching as nods rippled through the group. Maya listened, heart pounding in her chest, the cold knot of alienation twisting tighter. Silence keeps me safe, she thought. The lie, a familiar chill seeping into her bones. To speak would crack the fragile shell she'd built, invite the hurt she'd buried after Darnell. What if naming the pain shattered her completely? Could she utter even a fragment without crumbling? Her fingers brushed the edge of her open journal, pages worn from private nights of scrawled fury and doubt. Noor's gentle nudge, a hand on her arm, stirred something. Not force, but invitation. Maya exhaled, the breath shaky, and lifted the journal. The candlelight danced on its spine, illuminating the words she'd chosen. A single entry, honest and unadorned. I wrote this after he tried to pull me back in, she began, voice barely above a whisper, eyes fixed on the page to avoid the watching faces. The mirror in my bathroom is still cracked from that night. I see fragments of myself. Scared, small, blaming my own weakness for staying so long. He said I was too fragile to be alone, and part of me believed it. But hiding it, it's like freezing in place. I numb the scars, but they ache anyway. The words hung in the air, her throat tight, the internal storm raging. Stop now. Retreat. Let silence protect you. But she didn't. She breathed deeper, revealing the raw edge, and as the last syllable faded, a hush fell. Then, softly, affirmations bloomed. You're here, and that's strength. Noor's hand squeezed hers, warm and real. Eyes around the circle met Maya's, not with pity, but witness. The chill began to thaw, a gradual seep of heat from the candle's glow, spreading through her limbs like sunlight piercing fog. Acceptance wrapped around her, not as vulnerability's trap, but as a shared flame. Co-created safety. Maya closed the journal, fingers lingering on its cover, the question still echoing unspoken. Had she broken, or merely begun to mend? The circle's warmth held her steady, pulling her from isolation's edge. But the setback came soon after, testing her resolve. Maya's phone buzzed on the cluttered kitchen counter, the screen lighting up like an unwelcome ghost. She froze, mid-sip of her cooling tea, heart thudding as Darnell's name flashed. The message loaded slowly. Heard you're spilling secrets now. Careful, babe. Some things are better buried. Wouldn't want to drag us both down. Passive venom, wrapped in faux concern, slithering back into her veins. Fear coiled tight in her chest, old and familiar, whispering that silence had always kept her safe. Her breath hitched. The room shrank, walls pressing in like the nights she'd curled into herself, swallowing words to avoid his storm. Why now, after she'd just tasted the air of sharing? A tentative confession to Dr. Hart, Noor's steady nod in the cafe. The progress felt fragile, a thin thread snapping under his pull. She wanted to delete it, to retreat into the numb quiet that had armored her for so long. Hands trembling, she set the phone face down, but the words echoed, urging her to vanish again. No, not this time. Maya reached for the journal on the shelf, its leather cover worn from recent entries, pages that had begun to map her unfiltered truths. She flipped it open, the blank space staring back like an invitation. Pen in hand, she breathed deep, the act a small rebellion. His words aren't chains anymore, she scrawled, ink bleeding slightly as her grip tightened. They sting, but they don't own me. My voice, it's mine to share. The fear lingered, a shadow, but writing it out loosened its hold, turning panic into a quiet resolve. She remembered Noor's words from their last call. You're not alone in this fight. Fingers hovering over her phone again, Maya dialed Noor instead of responding to him. Hey, she said, when the line connected, voice steadying. Got a message from Darnell. It's pulling me back, but I wrote it down. In the journal. Feels different this time. Noor's pause was warm, affirming. That's you claiming space, Maya. He's losing ground because you're not hiding. Want me to come over, or just talk it through? The journal lay open beside her, a testament to her emerging strength. Vulnerability wasn't surrender. It was the light piercing the dark, Could she face this control without sealing her lips shut once more? The question hung, unanswered, as she closed the book, not in defeat, but in quiet defiance. Reflecting on the incident, Maya returned to therapy for deeper guidance. The therapy room hummed with the soft tick of a wall clock, its muted light filtering through half-drawn blinds like a hesitant confession. Maya sat rigid on the edge of the couch, fingers twisting the hem of her sweater, her breath shallow and guarded. Dr. Hart leaned forward in his armchair, his eyes steady, inviting without pressure, a quiet anchor in the storm she carried inside. "Tell me about the fear," he said gently, his voice a low murmur, "the one that whispers you're weak if you let it show." Maya's gaze dropped to her lap, where her open journal lay like an unspoken challenge, its blank page staring back. She hesitated, the words clotting in her throat. "It's exposing myself. Like if I admit how much it still hurts." Darnell's words, the way he twisted everything, "I'll shatter. And being kind to myself, that feels like surrender, like I'm admitting defeat instead of fighting through it." Her voice cracked, tension coiling tighter in her shoulders, a vice around her chest. She wanted to bolt, to retreat into the armor of silence that had kept her safe for so long. But Dr. Hart nodded, unhurried. "What if that fight isn't about enduring alone? What if tenderness, to yourself, to the scars, is the real courage? Name one small act, something gentle." She exhaled sharply, the air trembling out of her. I skipped breakfast again today, punishing myself for feeling too much." The admission hung there, raw and unfiltered, her hands unclenching slightly as she reached for the journal. Her pen hovered, then pressed to the page. "Breathe before reacting. Forgive the tired mornings." The ink bloomed, a tentative bridge from isolation. Dr. Hart's smile was subtle, affirming. "And Noor, you've shared a bit with her. How did that feel?" A flicker of warmth eased the knot in her chest. "Lighter, like I'm not carrying it all." Relief seeped in, softening her edges, the weight lifting just enough to breathe deeper. She closed the journal, but the question lingered in her eyes. Could caring for herself truly demand the same bravery as facing the pain? As the session wound down, Maya stood, journal tucked under her arm, a quiet resolve stirring. The room felt less confining now, the path ahead a little clearer. In the climax of her journey, Maya decided to record her full confession. The camera's red light blinks like a hesitant heartbeat in the dim glow of Maya's apartment. She sits cross-legged on the worn rug, the open journal splayed across her lap like an invitation she can't refuse. Its pages, half filled with jagged script, whisper of nights spent tracing scars in the mirror, fractured lines she once hid. Now, the journal lies bare, a bridge between silence and sound. Her fingers hover over the record button, trembling. The fear coils tight in her chest. What if this exposure shatters her? What if seeing herself unravel on screen proves the lie? That strength is solitude, pain a secret to bury. She breathes shallow, eyes darting to the blank wall, where shadows of Darnell's voice still echo, urging her to stay quiet, stay safe. But Noor's words from the circle linger. "Name it, Maya. Let it breathe." She presses record. The lens captures her face first, pale, guarded, lips parting on a sigh. "This is for me," she says, voice a fragile thread. "And for the circle, for Noor, Dr. Hart, for anyone who's ever felt the weight of unspoken hurt." Her hand traces the journal's edge, flipping to a fresh page. She doesn't write, she speaks, letting the words spill like ink. "I was numb for so long, hiding the bruises, not just on my skin, but the ones that twisted my trust. Darnell, he made me believe silence was survival, that admitting the pain meant I was weak. Her voice cracks, eyes welling, but she doesn't look away from the camera. The fear surges, raw, exposing, a whisper screaming retreat. Yet she leans in, shoulders softening. But hiding it kept me broken, like this mirror I smashed last year. She gestures, vaguely, though the shards are long gone, pieced into something tentative. I thought strength was never showing the cracks. But what if letting the words out makes me whole? The journal's pages rustle as she shifts, a soft affirmation. She imagines the circle's candles flickering, faces turning toward her, not in judgment, but witness. I'm sharing this because I choose to be seen. Not perfect, not stoic, just me, vulnerable, and maybe that's the strength I've been chasing. Her breath steadies, fear ebbing into resolve. The red light holds her gaze, a pact sealed. She stops recording, but the promise hums. These syllables, weak and defiant, will bridge her to them, to trust rebuilt, one revealed truth at a time. Can words be both fracture and fire? The morning after sharing the video with the group, Maya met them at the cafe for support. The cafe hummed with the soft murmur of evening patrons, but Maya's corner booth felt like a fragile island. Her hands trembled around a cooling mug of chamomile. The video confession, raw words spilled into the digital void, still echoing in her chest. What if the world twisted her vulnerability into judgment? Noor slid into the seat across from her, eyes warm but probing, followed by 3 others from the healing circle. Sarah, with her quiet scars, Jamal, steady as oak, Lena, who nodded like she understood the ache. "You're here," Noor said, voice a gentle anchor. That took guts. The group settled, forming an impromptu circle around the low table. Noor pulled a small bundle from her bag. Tea lights, flickering promises. "Like last time," she explained, striking a match. Flames danced to life one by one, casting golden halos on their faces, the community circle of candles reborn in this borrowed space. The light softened the edges of Maya's anxiety, but it didn't erase it. A message from Darnell had buzzed her phone earlier. "You're making a mistake, airing our dirt." His words clawed at old fears, exposure as betrayal, support as a trap. Sarah leaned in first, external tension crackling like the match's spark. "I saw the video. It's real. But online, people judge fast. You okay with the backlash?" Maya's breath caught, the fear of fresh wounds surfacing, pulling her toward silence. She could retreat, numb it out, but no. The forbidden pull of defensive quiet tugged, then released as she met their eyes. "I'm scared," she admitted, voice actor bold, revealing the knot in her throat. "What if this openness just invites more hurt, like before?" Jamal passed her a card, handwritten notes from the circle scrawled inside. "Your story lit something in me." She hesitated, fingers hovering. Reject it? No. She took it, the paper warm from his palm, and the group's nods wove relief through her dread. Noor squeezed her hand. "We're here. Next steps, safe routines, weekly check-ins, boundaries with exes. You've started the path. Let us walk it with you." As they shared plans, morning walks, no contact blocks, Maya felt the shift. Anxiety ebbed, replaced by a tentative connectedness, the candle's glow mirroring the warmth blooming in her chest. She pulled out her journal, scribbling. "Transparency doesn't break me. It binds us." The power of it hit. Vulnerability, once a fracture, now a bridge. Darnell's shadow faded in the light. Yet as the flames steadied, a whisper lingered. Could she fully lean into this support? Let its warmth forge her forward without flinching.